she's putting in right now is to the development of these eggs.
Whoa, that's a lot.
That's cool.
That is holy eggs. Whoa.
Coho salmon have about 2,500 to 3,000 eggs
They
in
have
them.
more than
Chinook salmon can have up to about 4,500 eggs in them. That seems like a lot, but it's not in the fish world. It's actually not that many eggs. And the reason is the size. These are pretty big eggs for a fish species, okay? Now, but if I open this up, you can look, here's one skein right there.
There's another.
And there's another one right there. Do you see anything else in there? There's really not much in there. Okay. This right there, yeah. This is the air bladder. And do you know what the air bladder does?
When they go up and down.
Right. So they actually, it's kind of like a scuba diver, how they can adjust their air, and it actually makes them either float or sink. Same thing with the fish. They don't have to work as hard because they have an air bladder. They can stay in the water column easier. Question?
Could you pop that?
Yeah, I will pop that.
Yes.
And it really doesn't serve as much of a purpose when they come back into fresh water because they're not dealing with that deep of depths here. Now, does anybody know what this is right here?
Brain.
This is what's left of this fish's stomach. Okay? Now, if you think about what a stomach normally does, what's a stomach do when you eat?
It feels
Expands.
Yeah, it can expand. It expands and it can contract. At this point in the salmon's life, there's no rubbery kind of texture to this anymore. It would snap. It would actually break if it tried to eat something. When we do work on these fish and we're trying to track them, what we'll do is we'll put radio tags inside their stomach. And they used to put them down the stomach of the fish through the mouth, but they realized they were actually breaking through the stomach lining because the stomach can't actually even stretch anymore. So the stomach is breaking down. If this was in the ocean, the stomach would be about that big. It would be huge and it would be stretched full of food. But at this point, that's all that's left of that stomach for that poor fish. So if I take these eggs out of here...
Whoa. That is cool.
Whoa, what's that? Whoa.
That. The heart? I think that's the heart.
Dun. Where's the heart?
Ooh, Sam's our buddy. I think that's the heart.
Now I'm going to show you something on these eggs quick.
That's the heart.
Now if you look at these eggs here, do you see how there's veins? Do you see the red lines in there? What happens is when these eggs are developing, these are right attached to right near the heart. So what happens is this is how the eggs get all the oxygen and the nutrients is when they're developing. It's straight from the female, okay? When the female is ripe and she's ready to spawn, we call that, she's gravid. That's the term we use, is a gravid female. This skein, or this actual like thing that's keeping it together, dissolves. And inside the female, these eggs all become loose. And that way she can actually expel them when she's spawning. She wouldn't be able to spawn right now if she wasn't ready to spawn. These eggs are still too tight and they're still wrapped in a skein.
The heart.
Okay, now, there's, again, if you look in here, that's it. There's not much in here anymore. This thing is all nutrients at this point. It's reproductive parts for, producing the next year's offspring, but this is all nutrients it's bringing back. Anybody know what this might be right here?
Heart.
Organ.
Huh?
Oh,
Some people eat it.
The liver.
Not on salmon, but
Liver.
yeah, this is liver. This is liver. And liver is supposed to be one color, okay? It's supposed to be a nice reddish color. See how this thing's kind of turning white? It's kind of got white on it. Sometimes we'll even see spots on these fish, on their livers. Well, again, this fish is breaking down. This liver is almost non-functional at this point. It doesn't really serve a purpose. It's just going to become nutrients. The other thing I need to tell you, too, is even these trees in the riparian areas, they've done testing on these trees in Alaska, and they've found ocean nutrients in the trees. So what's going on is it's kind of like when they come and they do chem lawn service or they fertilize your lawn. That's what these salmons do, even to the riparian areas. So they're bringing back a lot of nutrients into this environment, and these trees are very important for these fish, and I'll get to that in a little bit. So this is the upper part of the stomach right here. Anybody know what the spaghetti type thing is?
Brain.
Intestines?
Intestines, yeah, these are the intestines right there. This right here,
Brain.
and I'll show you while it's intact, is the heart. So you can see right there, that's the heart.
Oh, it's like a heart.
Now the neat thing about salmon is this heart is pretty big. It's a big heart. Their brain is tiny. Their brain is probably the size of a pencil eraser is what it looks like. So what I always say about salmon is they're all heart. They're very instinctual. They don't have to do a lot of thinking. What they're doing is based upon millions of years of evolution. I can't really get into the brain because it's in a really thick part. But this is what the heart looks like. Now, it's just your typical chambered heart. Looks like any other animals in that sense. Now, does anybody know where their kidneys are on their body?
On the top?
The sides.
Where are your kidneys?
On the sides.
Oh, sides.
Yeah, and I say kidneys. You've got two of them. They're on your sides, right here. Do you think a fish has kidneys?
Yeah.
Where are the kidneys on a fish?
The mate.
and I'm kind of tricky. Where's the kidney on a fish? Anybody know? Nope, it's actually, have you heard of the bloodline on a fish? The bloodline is actually the kidney. So the kidney on this fish runs the entire length of its spine. I'm going to cut through this membrane here so you can see it. But right there, see that dark blood? That's really all that is dark blood, but that's the kidney inside this fish. There's not much to it. It's right there.
There's an egg.
Yep, there's still an egg lodged in there. Other thing too is you see how this fish is, the flesh is this color?
Yeah.
Do you know why salmon have this orangey pinkish flesh? Does anybody know?
Is that their muscle?
It's their muscle, it's protein, but why is that color?
They eat krill?
You got it. So it's the same idea. You know what, pink flamingos are pink, right?
Yeah.
Now if you don't feed a pink flamingo shrimp or a krill, they turn white. It's the same thing with salmon. This is from all the shrimp they eat. There's actually a fish in the Columbia River called a tule chinook, okay? It actually has white flesh. It's a fish-eating salmon. Same thing with chum salmon. They don't eat that many shrimps. They actually get a whitish flesh.
The muscle is what we eat.
The muscle is the protein, and that's what we eat in salmon. This is all muscle on here. And when these fish come back to spawn, they'll digest all of their fat reserves, and then they'll actually start to digest their proteins. Their body will start to break down, and they'll utilize that as fuel until they can spawn. But it's the same thing. If the Atlantic salmon, you ever seen farm-raised salmon at the supermarket? What they have to do with those fish is they actually have to give them special feed, like a week or two before they harvest them, to turn their flesh pink. That's the only way they do it. They actually dye the food to give them a pink color. If they didn't do that, they'd have white flesh. So it's kind of a way to trick you in that sense. But naturally, this fish would have pink flesh like this. Trout even have that because they're actually eating shrimp in this freshwater environment. I'm going to show you something real quick if I can get into... No. Let's see if I can find one of these that's ripe.
Right? Oh, blood coming out. Does that mean it's ripe?
This one's overripe, I'm sure.
Ooh.
Yeah, there we go.
Okay.
So this is a male.
Is that milk?
This is a male right here, okay? So the female has eggs in her. Those are her gametes. The male has milt. That's what we call it in the fisheries world. So when they fertilize, the male actually expels the milt. You can see it here. His is loose because this is an old dead fish. And it'll actually squirt out. I'm going to get it to do it again.
What about that one?
Yeah.
That's
Do you see it coming out now?
Oh.
So that's its milt, and that's what it expresses over the eggs in the red. So that's what it's actually doing, this male here. Anybody have any questions at this point?